The Orphan's Struggle. A young girl named Aisha lived a happy life with her loving mother and father. Their small home was filled with laughter, warmth, and love. But everything changed when her mother fell ill and passed away. Aisha's father, grieving and lonely, remarried a woman named Salma, hoping she would bring stability to their home. At first, Salma seemed kind, offering gentle words and false smiles. However, deep down, she harbored resentment towards Aisha, seeing her as a burden rather than a daughter. As time passed, Salma's true nature emerged. She assigned Aisha endless chores, treating her like a servant rather than a child. While her own daughters wore fine clothes and attended school, Aisha was forced to scrub floors, cook meals, and serve them. Her father, unaware of the cruelty unfolding behind closed doors, was often away for work. Aisha endured the mistreatment without complaint, holding on to the kindness her mother had once taught her. Despite the harsh conditions, Aisha remained kind-hearted and patient. She found comfort in small joys, watching the birds outside the window, humming songs her mother used to sing, and dreaming of a better life. One day, while gathering water from the well, she caught the attention of an elderly woman named Fatima, who noticed her tired eyes and bruised hands. Fatima, a wealthy but lonely woman, was moved by Aisha's quiet strength. Over time, Fatima became a secret guardian to Aisha, offering her small gifts, warm food, books, and words of encouragement. She promised Aisha that life had bigger plans for her, but when Salma discovered their interactions, she became furious. Afraid that Aisha might escape her control, Salma locked her inside the house and forbade her from speaking to strangers. She even lied to Aisha's father, convincing him that Aisha was disobedient and ungrateful. Just when all hope seemed lost, fate intervened. One day, Fatima arrived with a powerful lawyer and a shocking truth. Aisha's late mother had left behind a small inheritance that Salma had hidden. The law was on Aisha's side. With proof of Salma's mistreatment and theft, the authorities intervened. Salma was left humiliated, her lies exposed, and her selfish ways catching up to her. For the first time in years, Aisha was free. She left with Fatima, who welcomed her into a new home filled with love and opportunity. She was given the chance to study, to dream, and to build a future beyond the suffering of her past. As the years went by, Aisha became a strong, successful woman, using her experiences to help others who had suffered like her. Meanwhile, Salma faced karmic retribution. With her lies exposed and her selfish nature driving people away, she was left to live in the loneliness she had once forced upon Aisha. Fate had other plans, and in the end, Aisha found happiness and success against all odds. The Hidden Heir. In a grand estate surrounded by lush gardens, young Alina lived a life of luxury with her loving father, Lord Hamid, a respected nobleman. She was his only child, and he adored her more than anything. However, tragedy struck when Lord Hamid suddenly fell ill and passed away. Before his death, he had ensured that Alina would inherit everything he owned. But fate had placed a cruel obstacle in her path, her stepmother, Lady Farah. Lady Farah, cold and calculating, saw Alina not as a daughter, but as an obstacle to her own ambitions. As soon as Lord Hamid was laid to rest, she seized control of the estate, claiming that no will existed. Alina, still grieving, was powerless against her. Within days, her life transformed from that of a noble heiress to a mere servant in her own home. She was stripped of her fine clothes, forced into rags, and given endless chores. Meanwhile, Lady Farah and her own daughter Nadia enjoyed the wealth that rightfully belonged to Alina. One day, a lawyer named Mr. Rafiq arrived at the estate with shocking news. Lord Hamid had indeed left a will, ensuring that Alina would inherit everything upon turning 18. Lady Farah, fearing the loss of her stolen fortune, tricked Mr. Rafiq into believing that Alina was missing and that the will had been lost. In truth, she had hidden it away, determined to keep her hold on the estate. Despite the hardship, Alina remained kind and resilient. While running errands in the marketplace, she met an older man named Malik, a merchant with a kind heart. Unbeknownst to her, Malik was a close friend of her late father. He saw something familiar in Alina's eyes, something noble. He listened to her story and suspected foul play. Fate soon intervened in an unexpected way. One evening, a storm hit the estate, and part of the old study collapsed, revealing a hidden compartment in the wall. Inside lay a sealed envelope, the missing will. A servant, loyal to Alina's father, discovered it and rushed to give it to Mr. Rafiq. When Lady Farah realized what had happened, she tried to destroy the document, but she was caught red-handed. Justice was swift. With the evidence in hand, Mr. Rafiq exposed Lady Farah's deception. The courts declared Alina the rightful heir, and Lady Farah was stripped of her stolen wealth. Abandoned by those who once flattered her, she was left to face the consequences of her greed. Finally free, Alina reclaimed her home and title. With Malik's guidance, she learned to manage her estate wisely, ensuring that it flourished. She dedicated her life to helping the less fortunate, making her father's legacy one of kindness and justice. Fate had ensured that truth prevailed, and Alina, once a hidden heir, rose to claim the life that had always been hers. A royal twist of fate. In the grand kingdom of Eldoria, Princess Celine was beloved by all. She was the only daughter of King Aldrich and Queen Isabella, rulers known for their wisdom and kindness. But when Queen Isabella fell ill and passed away, the kingdom mourned, and Celine's world crumbled. Her father, desperate for stability, remarried Lady Morgana, a woman of noble birth but a heart filled with ambition and malice. At first, Queen Morgana showered Celine with false affection, but behind closed doors, she saw the princess as a threat to her own rise to power. Slowly, she isolated Celine, forbidding her from attending court meetings and stripping her of her royal privileges. The once vibrant halls of the castle became cold, and whispers of the queen's growing influence filled the air. But Morgana wanted more than just control. She wanted Celine gone. She devised a sinister plan to have the princess accused of treason. Using forged letters and bribed officials, she spread rumors that Celine was plotting against the throne. The king, blinded by grief and Morgana's manipulations, ordered Celine to be exiled to the distant mountains, where she would be forgotten. Unbeknownst to Morgana, not everyone in the palace was her pawn. A loyal servant named Elias, who had once served Queen Isabella, saw through the deception. Disguised as a simple traveler, he followed Celine into exile, vowing to protect her. Fate had other plans for the princess. As she wandered the mountain villages, she met a wise old woman named Lysandra. Shocked by Celine's resemblance to a royal crest she possessed, Lysandra revealed a hidden truth. Celine's mother, Queen Isabella, had been the rightful heir to another powerful kingdom before marrying King Aldrich. Celine was not just a princess of Eldoria, she was the heir to a long-lost throne. Meanwhile, back in the castle, Morgana's tyranny grew unbearable. The people, once loyal, began to question her rule. When word spread that Celine was alive and had royal lineage beyond Eldoria, the oppressed citizens and noble families rallied behind her. A rebellion was brewing, and Celine, now armed with proof of her stepmother's deception, prepared to reclaim her birthright. Returning to the kingdom with her newfound allies, Celine confronted her father and presented the undeniable evidence of Morgana's treachery. King Aldrich, filled with regret, saw the truth at last. The queen's lies crumbled, and the people demanded justice. Morgana was stripped of her title and banished, left to face the consequences of her own greed. With the kingdom restored, Celine took her rightful place, not just as a princess, but as a wise and just leader. Though she had won, she never forgot the betrayal she endured. She ruled with a heart tempered by pain, ensuring that no one in Eldoria would suffer as she had. Fate had tested her, but in the end, she had emerged stronger, proving that true royalty was not just in blood, but in character. A modern Cinderella story. 16-year-old Maya had always been a bright, ambitious girl with big dreams. She lived a happy life with her loving father, who encouraged her to study hard and reach for the stars. But everything changed when her father remarried a wealthy woman named Layla. At first, Layla seemed charming, but once Maya's father was frequently away on business trips, her true colors emerged. Layla had two daughters, Sophia and Zara, who were spoiled and entitled. Unlike Maya, who worked hard for everything, they used their mother's wealth and influence to get ahead. Layla, favoring her own daughters, slowly pushed Maya out of the family's life. She was forced to do house chores while her stepsisters enjoyed luxuries. They took over her room, leaving her with a small, dusty corner in the attic. Despite the mistreatment at home, Maya excelled at school. She was passionate about science and technology, dreaming of becoming an engineer. However, Sophia and Zara did everything they could to sabotage her, spreading rumors, hiding her assignments, and mocking her in front of their classmates. Even when she won competitions, they made sure she never got credit. One day, a kind teacher, Mr. Khan, noticed Maya's struggles. He saw her potential and encouraged her to apply for a prestigious STEM scholarship. Maya worked tirelessly, submitting her best project. When she was selected for an interview, she felt like her dreams were finally within reach. But Layla, determined to keep her under control, intercepted the acceptance letter and tore it apart. She told Maya she had failed and that there was no future for her outside their home. Fate, however, had other plans. One evening, frustrated and hopeless, Maya decided to record a video explaining her project and uploaded it to social media. Overnight, it went viral. Scientists, professors, and influencers praised her intelligence and determination. Universities reached out, offering her opportunities she had never imagined. The scholarship committee even saw her video and reinstated her award. Layla could no longer suppress Maya's success. The entire world had recognized her talent. People began questioning how such a brilliant girl had gone unnoticed for so long. Embarrassed and furious, Layla tried to claim she had always supported Maya, but the truth was clear. Maya, now empowered and independent, packed her bags and left the toxic household behind. With her scholarship, Maya moved to another city, where she thrived. She pursued her dream of becoming an engineer, working with some of the best minds in the field. Years later, she returned, not to seek revenge, but to inspire other young girls like her to rise above their struggles. Layla, Sophia, and Zara, once so powerful in her life, had faded into irrelevance. Maya had proven that true success wasn't about wealth or status. It was about resilience, talent, and never giving up. Fate had turned the tables, and she had rewritten her own Cinderella story on her own terms. The Revenge of Karma. Ariana had always been her father's pride and joy. Their life was simple but happy, until tragedy struck. Her father fell ill and passed away, leaving her in the hands of her cold and calculating stepmother, Vivian. As soon as the funeral ended, Vivian wasted no time seizing control of the family's wealth, claiming that Ariana had no rightful inheritance. Stripped of everything, Ariana was reduced to a servant in her own home. While Vivian and her spoiled daughter, Bianca, lived lavishly, Ariana was forced to cook, clean, and endure constant humiliation. She suffered in silence, refusing to let their cruelty break her spirit. No matter how much they tried to diminish her, Ariana remained kind, intelligent, and resilient. One evening, while running errands in the marketplace, Ariana met an old woman named Eleanor. Despite her humble appearance, Eleanor had a sharp mind and a wise heart. She recognized Ariana's struggles and offered guidance, reminding her that fate had a way of balancing the scales. Encouraged by Eleanor's words, Ariana held on to hope. Meanwhile, Vivian's greed knew no bounds. She manipulated wealthy families, trying to marry Bianca into a rich and powerful household. But her lies and arrogance made her many enemies in high society. People whispered about her shady dealings, and suspicion grew. The turning point came at a grand banquet hosted by one of the most influential families in the city. Vivian, determined to secure Bianca's future, flaunted her wealth and connections. But fate had other plans. In a shocking twist, a nobleman who had known Ariana's father stepped forward with proof of Vivian's deception. Documents revealed that Ariana was the true heir to her father's fortune. Vivian had forged legal papers to steal it. Gasps filled the room as the truth unraveled. Vivian, once admired for her wealth, was now seen for what she truly was, a fraud. Guests who once flattered her now turned away in disgust. Bianca's potential suitors withdrew their offers, unwilling to be tied to such disgrace. With no wealth, no allies, and nowhere to turn, Vivian faced the ultimate downfall, public humiliation and abandonment. Karma had caught up with her at last. Ariana, finally free, reclaimed her rightful inheritance. But unlike Vivian, she chose to rise above vengeance. She forgave, but never forgot. While she ensured Vivian never suffered the way she had, she made it clear. Her stepmother would never be part of her life again. With her strength and wisdom, Ariana built a new future, not just for herself, but for those who had been wronged like her. She proved that true power wasn't in money or manipulation, but in resilience, kindness, and the justice that fate always delivers. Fate's unexpected. Hero life had never been kind to Eliza. After losing her father at a young age, she was left in the cruel hands of her stepmother, Ruxana. Under the guise of care, Ruxana turned Eliza into a servant, forcing her to cook, clean, and cater to her own daughters, who lived in luxury. Any dreams Eliza had of studying or pursuing a future were crushed. Her stepmother refused to let her attend school, insisting she was only fit for household chores. Despite her suffering, Eliza remained strong-willed. She secretly read borrowed books by candlelight, teaching herself everything she could. She dreamed of escaping but had no means to do so, until fate intervened in the most unexpected way. One rainy evening, while returning from the market, Eliza witnessed an accident. A speeding car lost control, nearly hitting a pedestrian. Without thinking, she rushed forward, pulling a man to safety just in time. That man was none other than Amir Khan, a powerful and influential CEO known for his sharp business mind and generous heart. Grateful for her bravery, Amir wanted to reward Eliza. He asked about her life, and when he learned of her struggles, he offered her a scholarship and a chance to work at his company once she was ready. It was the opportunity of a lifetime. But Ruxana, seeing her grip on Eliza slipping, intervened. She lied to Amir, claiming Eliza was ungrateful and deceitful, and even tried to prevent her from leaving the house. However, fate had other plans. Amir, suspicious of Ruxana's behavior, had his legal team investigate. They uncovered shocking truths. Ruxana had been misusing the inheritance Eliza's father had left for her. The law stepped in, and in an ironic twist, Ruxana's schemes backfired. She was found guilty of financial fraud and manipulation, leading to her downfall. Those who once flattered her now turned away, leaving her with nothing but regret. With Ruxana's hold over her broken, Eliza was finally free. Amir ensured she received a proper education, and she worked hard to make the most of the chance she had been given. Over time, she built a successful career, proving that she was capable of great things. Years later, when she looked back, Eliza didn't feel hatred, only gratitude for the unexpected twist of fate that had saved her. She had been denied love and opportunities for so long, but destiny had its own way of ensuring justice. And in the end, she moved forward, stronger than ever, leaving the past behind and embracing the bright future she had always deserved. The hidden power. Within. In the grand halls of her father's home, Liana was treated as an outsider. After her mother's passing, her father remarried a woman named Samira, who brought along her own daughter, Yasmin. While Yasmin was praised and adored, Liana was seen as weak and useless. Samira made sure she was given the hardest chores and kept away from any opportunity to grow. But Liana had a secret. She possessed a remarkable gift. Whether it was an extraordinary intelligence, a hidden magical ability, or a talent for art, music, or invention, she nurtured it in the shadows, afraid of what would happen if Samira discovered the truth. She often practiced in secret, using whatever little time and resources she could find. When Samira noticed Liana's talent, she did everything to suppress it. She mocked her, destroyed her work, and forbade her from pursuing anything that made her special. "You are nothing," she would sneer. "No one will ever recognize you." One day, fate introduced Liana to a wise mentor, perhaps a scholar, an old magician, or an influential artist, who saw beyond her mistreatment and recognized her hidden potential. This mentor secretly guided her, helping her hone her skills and develop confidence. With each passing day, Liana grew stronger, no longer believing the cruel words of her stepmother. The moment of truth arrived when an opportunity arose, a competition, a grand event, or a crisis where Liana's skills were needed. With everything on the line, she stepped forward, proving her worth to the world. The people who once ignored her now saw her brilliance. The truth about Samira's cruelty was revealed, and her hold over Liana was shattered. As the world recognized Liana's power, Samira and Yasmin were left to face the consequences of their envy and malice. Stripped of their influence, they could no longer stand in her way. With newfound freedom, Liana embraced her talent and built a future beyond her past suffering. She became a figure of inspiration, proving that no amount of cruelty could suppress true greatness. She had risen above the pain, no longer a forgotten girl in the shadows, but a powerful force in the world. Fate had not abandoned her. It had only been waiting for her to recognize the hidden power within. The fake daughter. In a grand estate filled with luxury and prestige, two girls lived vastly different lives. One was celebrated as the heiress, dressed in the finest clothes and showered with love. The other was hidden in the shadows, treated as nothing more than a servant. But the truth was far more sinister than anyone knew. The real daughter of the house had been replaced. Years ago, after her husband's passing, Lady Helena saw an opportunity. Her own daughter, Cecilia, was born into a life of struggle, while her stepdaughter, Elise, was the true heir to a vast fortune. Greedy and cunning, Lady Helena switched the girls when they were just children, forging documents and convincing everyone, including Elise's grieving family, that Cecilia was the rightful heir. Meanwhile, Elise was reduced to a nameless maid, growing up believing she was unworthy of anything more. Despite her mistreatment, Elise never lost hope. Small inconsistencies in Cecilia's stories, strange whispers among the older servants, and the occasional look of guilt in Lady Helena's eyes made her question everything. One day, she found an old locket hidden in the attic. Inside was a picture of her real parents, along with a name that wasn't hers. It was the first real clue that something was wrong. Determined to uncover the truth, Elise confided in a loyal friend, perhaps a childhood companion, a kind noble, or an older servant who had always cared for her. Together they began investigating, searching through old records and questioning those who had served the family for years. Slowly, the cracks in Lady Helena's deception began to show. At a grand banquet meant to celebrate Cecilia's engagement to a wealthy noble, fate intervened. An unexpected guest, a distant relative who had been absent for years, recognized Elise and hesitated. "She looks just like her mother," he murmured. The words sent a ripple of tension through the room. Sensing danger, Lady Helena tried to dismiss it, but Elise had already found what she needed. A hidden birth certificate, old letters, and a confession from a dying servant provided undeniable proof. Elise was the true daughter of the house. As the truth unraveled before the stunned guests, Cecilia and Lady Helena's carefully built deception collapsed. The noble families who once admired them now turned away in disgust. Stripped of her stolen wealth, Lady Helena was left with nothing but shame and regret. Cecilia, having lived a life built on lies, was lost without the privileges that had once been handed to her. Elise, now restored to her rightful place, was welcomed back by her true family. Though the years of hardship had been painful, they had shaped her into someone strong, resilient, and wise. She chose not to seek revenge but ensured that justice was served. With her name and identity reclaimed, Elise embraced the life that had been stolen from her. But more than wealth or status, she had gained something far greater: the truth, her dignity, and the knowledge that fate had never forgotten her. From rags to riches, Zara's life changed overnight when her father passed away. His sudden death left her at the mercy of her stepmother, Salma, a woman who had never truly accepted her. Wasting no time, Salma seized control of the family's wealth, ensuring that Zara received nothing. Stripped of her inheritance and dignity, she was reduced to a maid in her own home, scrubbing floors while Salma and her daughters, Alina and Sana, lived in luxury. Despite the hardship, Zara refused to be broken. She had a sharp mind and a kind heart, qualities that shone even through the misery. She often helped the neighborhood children with their studies, using whatever scraps of books she could find. She dreamed of escaping her cruel home, but without money or support, it seemed impossible. One day, while running errands, Zara crossed paths with a wealthy businessman, Mr. Raymond. He noticed her tutoring a group of children outside a shop, explaining complex subjects with ease. Impressed by her intelligence and perseverance, he struck up a conversation. When he learned of her struggles, he offered her a chance, an opportunity to study and work for a better life. Salma, realizing Zara was slipping from her control, tried to sabotage her. She spread lies, destroyed her study materials, and even attempted to get Mr. Raymond to withdraw his support. But Zara had tasted hope and refused to give up. She worked tirelessly, overcoming every obstacle thrown her way. Her moment of triumph came when she participated in a prestigious academic competition. Despite coming from a background of hardship, she outshined everyone with her brilliance. The judges were in awe, and her story spread far and wide. Universities offered her scholarships, and influential figures extended opportunities beyond her wildest dreams. With her success, the truth about Salma's cruelty was exposed. People who once admired her stepmother now saw her for what she truly was, a selfish woman who had tried to crush Zara's potential. Salma and her daughters, once so proud and entitled, were left humiliated and powerless. Zara, however, chose to rise above revenge. She focused on building her future, proving that resilience and hard work could change even the worst fate. Years later, she became a successful entrepreneur, educator, or leader, inspiring others with her journey. She had once been cast aside, treated as nothing, but fate had other plans. From rags to riches, Zara had created a life of purpose, success, and fulfillment, proving that no amount of cruelty could stand in the way of true greatness. The ultimate escape. Layla's life had been one of constant pain and fear ever since her father's death. Her stepmother, Samira, was cruel and manipulative, making Layla's existence unbearable. Every day she was forced to do the harshest chores, endure constant verbal abuse, and watch as Samira doted on her own children while disregarding Layla completely. Though trapped in a suffocating home, Layla still dreamed of freedom, of escaping this nightmare and finding a life where she was loved and appreciated. But without resources, money, or anyone to turn to, her dreams seemed impossible. The walls of her world felt too high to climb. One day, while cleaning an old attic, Layla stumbled upon a hidden diary. It was her mother's, lost for years after her passing. The diary revealed a shocking truth. Her mother had been from a wealthy family, and there were records in the nearby city that could lead Layla to her true relatives. Layla's heart raced. The possibility of a family that loved her, of a life outside Samira's cruelty, became real for the first time. Determined but fearful, Layla began planning her escape in secret. She memorized the clues in her mother's diary and pieced together the information about her real family. She knew Samira would never let her leave willingly, so she kept everything hidden, watching her every move. But Samira grew suspicious. She noticed Layla's secretive behavior and tightened her control, keeping her even closer and restricting her every action. She began to monitor Layla's movements, making it nearly impossible for her to take any further steps. It was at this point that Layla confided in a trusted friend, perhaps a compassionate servant, or a neighbor who had always supported her. Together, they found a way for Layla to escape. The friend helped her steal away in the dead of night, taking her to a safe place where she could make her next move. Once free, Layla used the information from the diary to track down her true family. The truth about her past, about her noble heritage, was revealed to the world. The people who had once cared for her mother welcomed her with open arms, shocked and heartbroken to learn what had happened. As Layla's past unraveled, the truth about Samira's abuse came to light. Samira was exposed for the cruel and manipulative woman she truly was, and the family she had once controlled abandoned her. The authorities stepped in, and Samira was arrested for her actions. left to face the consequences of the life she had built on lies and torment. With the weight of her past finally lifted, Layla began the life she was always meant to have. She found love, support, and opportunity in her real family, growing into a strong, confident woman. The justice she had longed for was finally served, and fate ensured that her life would be filled with the happiness and fulfillment that had once seemed out of reach.